This video is intended to be a guide for qualified repair personnel. Proper understanding and use of any equipment, parts, or tools is the responsibility of the repair person doing the repair. Working on some Vektek parts can be hazardous if not done correctly. Always use personal protective equipment when repairing Vektek parts. The safety and security of personnel and property is the sole responsibility of the person performing the repair or testing of Vektek parts and is not the responsibility of Vektek or its employees. It is important for the repair person to understand the operation of the Vektek part and any equipment and tooling used in the repair and testing of the Vektek part. Vektek is not responsible for repairs that are not performed by Vektek personnel. No guarantee or warranty is provided or implied by this video. If you have any questions, give us a call at 800-992-0236. We will be glad to guide you to successful repair. Familiarize yourself with the parts list before starting this procedure. Remove any debris from the accumulator cavity. We recommend having 2 fill adapters, one to aid in emptying the accumulator and one to fill the accumulator because we want to ensure the fill adapter is clean. If you only have one fill adapter, you can go ahead and release the gas from the accumulator with a 9/16 deep socket. Being sure to cover the fill valve with a shop towel. Thread the fill adapter into the accumulator fill valve until the nitrogen gas begins to be expelled. Release all of the nitrogen. Some oil may be expelled with the remaining nitrogen. Use a 9/16 deep socket to remove the fill valve from the accumulator gland and discard the valve. Remove the gland with a spanner. It will be tight as it is torqued to 55 foot-pounds. Remove the O-ring from the gland. Make sure all ports are plugged except the A2 port opposite the accumulator gland. We will now use shop air and a nozzle pressed against the A2 port to push the accumulator piston out of the accumulator. If you are unable to get the piston out of the accumulator bore with shop air, you can cautiously use hydraulic pressure to push out the piston. Now you want to remove the seals from the piston. Next, remove the disconnects with a 15/16 deep socket. Separate the disconnects from the SAE6 adapters and remove the O-rings from the adapters. Remove the adapter block from the decoupler body with a 3/16 hex bit. Next, remove the hollow set screw in the A2 port with a 1/4" hex bit. Then remove the filter components from the cavity. Using the long check valve spanner, remove the check valve from the A2 port. Remove the black O-ring from under the check valve. Retain the check valve, but discard the O-ring. On the end with the accumulator, using a 1/4" hex bit, remove the SA6 plug from the B2 port. If it is too tight, firmly strike the plug with a ball-peen hammer. Next, remove the piston plug from the B2 port with a 1/4" hex bit. Remove the O-ring from the piston plug. Now remove the pilot piston using a hook or push it out from the A2 port with a small hex wrench. Remove the O-ring and white backup rings from the piston and discard them.
Remove the remaining SAE 6 plugs from the body and retain them. Do not remove the O-rings from the plugs as they do not come in the seal kit. Using a 3/16 inch drill bit, drill a hole in the center of the expansion plug, covering the OPR. Pry the expansion plug out with a punch. Using a dial caliper or digital caliper, measure from the face of the body down to the surface of the set screw and record that value. It will be needed for the assembly procedure.
Using a 3/16 inch hex bit, remove the set screw and other components of the OPR. Retain these parts, they will be reused.
Now it's time to clean the accumulator body and all the parts that are being retained.